use
That's
of
hard
such
for
land
him though.
for agricultural purposes as long as it is used for agricultural purposes.
Well, I have found
The Attorney
the
General
back
opined that this is only
bigger
concerned with
area in the
municipalities' power to regulate the use of land and not with that of municipalities' ability to require a building permit. Right.
There are two places that at this.
Well, here, this is what they call agriculture.
Forest.
All right, in the state of Tennessee,
According to.
1-3-05, it's used twice. Agricultural means the land, buildings, and machinery used in the commercial production of farm products and nursery. The activity carried on in connection with the commercial production of farm products and nursery stock. And 3, recreational and educational activities on land used for the commercial production of farm products and nursery stock, and entertainment activities.
And by that time she said.
So what they define as agriculture is different than what is in this, passed in this. So the state is very adamant about
It is,
agriculture.
and the dogs, I mean, I turn.
But it's,
That's where we have the issue, we don't
yeah.
have agricultural zoning.
but it's agricultural use.
Athletic center.
Yeah.
And she
But it's
knows,
already
We're
zoned
going there.
and she starts howling.
That's what mine does too, when I play her car, she has to win.
Yeah.
The state's very
She's a husky
adamant
boxer.
about
Okay.
agricultural
She's a
protection.
mark dog.
So that's, I mean, that's where you're splitting hairs.
Mine was
So
husky too. Every dog I've
We're
ever
not
had.
gonna have our expert.
we're not gonna have an expert, no.
We
Well,
don't
she
have
was
an
a
attorney.
foster, then
We don't have an
Did you
attorney.
get anything?
Okay.
No, I haven't yet, because nobody asked us to get an opinion,
Yeah.
no one after last night.
Fostering, but
I
that would be
understand.
hard for me to let them go.
Because I got work every day over figures
They
like
go to
that.
such great.
He's already done it.
They do.
What?
It was
Yeah.
already done, no one wanted
Okay,
it.
very good job.
And,
It's,
you know,
I said,
and
Sam's
they
already
went
done
back
it.
to
He's
Virginia
already
and
talked,
asked.
he's already talked
I
to
said, you
Garrett.
know what, I just can't.
They've already had a
do this.
conversation about this.
Let her go to another.
well, what
According
I'm
to
saying, he
Garrett.
didn't,
So I'll
what I'm
just-
saying, but Garrett's not here, nor Ron is here tonight, so, and they didn't provide that for us, because,
Do you know how that conversation went?
no, nobody's provided us anything in
No, I
writing.
got Michelle.
That, the state statute rule?
All right, are we
Yeah.
starting?
All they've gotta do is prove that they've been in agriculture
Right.
since
Okay.
Is it 1976?
98.
98.
What code is it? Because they never gave us the code or anything.
So it's
650.
She's got it.
654-126. It's the municipal powers, zoning limitations on agricultural land, 1998.
I wrote it all down.
Yeah, and it's an attorney general opinion.
What was that code again, Michelle? I'm
All
sorry.
right, so it's 6-54-126. So what this was passed would not fly in, because it's excluding what they call agriculture.
Well, I couldn't print out the minutes, and I tried because our website crashed.
Hold on, let me call the meeting to order. I apologize.
Yeah, we get this started.
All right, let's call this meeting to order for the Montego Regional Planning Commission special call meeting. Let's do a roll call. Richard Black.
Here.
Janet Miller-Schmidt.
Here.
Ed Provo.
Here.
Drain Parmalee. Peter Beasley. Marilyn Rodman.
Here.
I'm Michelle Russell. Yeah. Okay, I'm going to, we've called the meeting to order, and we know there's only one item on this special call meeting. It's a barn on a farm, but I'm going to hear persons, I'm going to zip to 3 up front, and hearing a person's having business before commission. Nate, can you explain what's going on with the agriculture and everything?
Well, I mean, I'm not party to this. I'll
know.
explain what I know from that legislation that you're talking about. So I talked to Garrett and Anya about this legislation. I think Garrett brought it up to me because we had discussed it. Oh, no, I sent it to Garrett when I sent it to y'all. And he said that he'd already had a conversation with Sam about it. And the question that Sam had is, can they prove that this has been in agriculture since 1998? And I think that seems pretty clear, but that would have to be prosecuted in a court, in some court setting to say, okay, the burden of proof would be on them to say this has been in agriculture since 98. For those of us who've lived here, we kind of know how that goes. other than that, I haven't been involved in it. My
Okay.
wife was involved in that legislation, and so I knew that it existed, and so that's why I shared it with y'all.
So you guys were reviewing the, because there's a distinct with this ordinance that was passed that added agriculture to it. It's not agriculture, it's the state that finds it.
So I wasn't involved in that.
Right.
You wanna see it?
I'm familiar with it. I was sitting in the
Because I mean,
Crowd.
I think that's where our questions all lie now is what's agriculture in a C2 district?
in my opinion, and I think I've talked to some of y'all separately about this, I think the question before you is, what do you want Mont Eagle to look like? And for me, if you enjoy the rural character of Mont Eagle, then it would be important for the Planning Commission to support those projects that would help to preserve the rural character of Mont Eagle and those projects that help bring people to the mountain, because we've all said that tourism is something that we find important. So that, to me, is the question. Now, how it plays out, to me, this state agricultural legislation, I would hope that we wouldn't have to dwell too much on it, because that becomes a question of whether they have the right to do what they want to do. And for me, I would hope the question is, do we not want them to do what they want to do?
Property rights are pretty adamant in our constitutional rights, so. All right, anybody else have a comment on what we have at hand? Mr. Trahan, do you have any comment on this?
Yeah, I mean, Nate's giving legal advice, so I appreciate that. But here's the thing, we're not really opposed to what they're doing. And even with that last meeting, we were surprised by a number of things. One is, we were never contacted by the planner. We knew the whole process about agriculture. We knew the whole process about the ordinance was getting changed. But the planners got paid to do this. Then they come back and say, state law trumps everything. Well, that's two different things, but that's spending money for nothing with those guys. So we're not opposed to what they're doing. We've actually, had they called us up and said this, we're putting everything, we probably wouldn't have a problem. The unknown was the issue was. And no one presented anything to us, no one said, here's the plan. We asked the planners for a site plan, they wouldn't give it to us, which is kind of bizarre. So we finally copied Marilyn in an email, so she said send it over. That would have solved a lot of problems a long time ago.
So, the good neighbor policy, so if someone's going to be doing something on their property, then a good neighbor policy is to contact the adjoining neighbors?
That's what we do. That's what we did when we did our building down there. We spoke to the people behind the house, we put trees up for them, and we spoke to Fox, and we landscaped their property back there.
All right.
So, I mean, it's just a conversation. But the fact that there's this unknown that's going to the board, no one can see it, knows what it is, that's why I objected to.
I think that's a fair objection too.
I was
Agree.
contacted this afternoon because I was in a meeting in Cleveland, and I said, why can we not have it? It's public record. So I said to send it on to you. That's the first time
Yeah, I appreciate that.
that you were not, I thought anybody could get it when they made a request. So I said, of course, send it to whoever wants it. It's already public record. So I apologize if that happens. And we're not wanting this done. And I don't know if Nate's if you're a citizen right now, but I don't think he's giving legal advice. I know he's not on the behalf of the council.
No, I
So
know,
I'm
but
clarifying
he gets up
that
to
with this
speak.
meeting, because he can't do it. We didn't have, well, Anya and Garrett said they wouldn't hear, but I'm gonna go back to some research that they did provide for me. And I can't print it out, their website just crashed, and everyone else can go and look at this. And was it February of 2019? I think, Matt, whenever y'all first came before the council? I think it was February, because I'm looking at this ordinance.
January 28th, are you talking about for this?
I'm talking about for the project, not us. I'm talking about when this first began. See,
Okay.
this is what was mentioned to me with Anya and Garrett and the
I'm not
attorney.
clear what you're asking, if, when we first came about farming on the property.
Right, that's what I'm going back to. And in those minutes, and again, we can pull these, but I cannot pull those minutes as soon as the website's back up, you can't. There was discussion with the planning commission, with you all, with the trade heads, that you were gonna do certified cattle on there. And also that there would be, and what they had mentioned there is to keep C2 at the front, and it would agriculture use in the back. Now, this was either January or February of 19. Again, it's on the website, but I cannot get it up tonight, but we can pull this. The following meeting, they were gonna do a BZA board to change this, or it was going before this was the planning commission that was talking, and then it was going before the council. The next thing that happened, if you follow their minutes, because they didn't record them, is this came about. So there was not any record of a BZA, and you covered them, so maybe you've got something, I guess, Leslie. I don't know who covered them back then, but you can go back and look at these minutes. So there was discussion when y'all were talking about doing the cattle again. You would do the cattle in the back, and there would be C2 next to your property. That's the only minutes I could find. That's what Sam found, that's what Garrett found, everybody that looked at it. But it was never followed up, and this was the next document that came about. And there is definition in the in this code, and what happened, and then of course the farm was in bankruptcy for 2 years, and it was dormant, so it became a new cycle. So I'm not getting into the legal parts of it, and of course we got bashed last night over an attorney, but sometimes you have to have an attorney's opinion to protect everybody. It's not spending money. It's just, as you said, like Michelle said, how can we be good neighbors to where you are protected and they're protected on this farm and everybody's protected? That's all that we're trying to get to. And the only reason that we're documenting this, and we want to do it right from this perspective, is we record it. So if I'm dead a year from now and you want to sell it, or we're all done, then there's a record of it. And also, it won't be something that's going to come back and bite us in the butt later. Frankly, I want it to be done right. And that's the only reason for going a little bit slower. So I apologize if anybody's been offended, but it's not trying to offend you. It's just to make sure we do it right. So, but all that discussion is there.
I just don't like the way it was done.
Well, I don't like the way it was done.
And I don't like the fact that it was 2 weeks before I was officially notified.
Pardon?
It was 2 weeks before I was officially notified that it was rescinded. And that seems a little excessive.
And I apologize the planning commission didn't, or their planner didn't contact you. I normally don't send out letters. I did ask them why. Apparently there's several issues, and I'm not throwing Garrett under the bus. I'm not throwing Anya, but it needs to be identified and to discuss more, But I'm gonna be part of the solution instead of the problem, so.
So from a C2 aspect, let's go on to another aspect. So from a C2 aspect, this is a business. Let's just go in that direction, right? So Skip Agriculture, this is a business. Does that site plan meet your expectations of everything you sent in, fellas?
This site plan?
Yeah,
I got a few questions.
all right,
I can speak to Matt directly.
yep.
The 7.5 acres that are on here, is that all you're asking to be approved for this
For
venture?
agritourism?
Yes.
Yeah.
The 7.5 acres
Yeah.
that's here?
Yeah.
Nothing outside the 7.5? Okay. I noticed that there's a measurement on the property line from the paddocks over to, I think it's the Country Mart for 939 feet.
Yep.
Okay. What is the measurements from the paddocks to the back of to the property line of the Nixon property?
$190.
369 feet, okay.
Into the money.
That was the shortest distance. Every other fence line is further than that.
So that's the, I couldn't read it on my copy.
Okay.
So that's the measurement there. So the fence that you're proposing, that's gonna encount the entire 7.5 acres?
Yes.
Okay, so everything inside the compound of this fence from these measurements is what you're asking us
To approve?
to approve, right?
Yes.
Okay. What type fence is this gonna be?
Woven wire?
Say again?
Woven wire, page wire. The fence that's up there existing at the front.
Is there any restrictions on commercial property as far as the type of fences? This is commercial property.
There is
As far as
fencing.
what kind of
Yeah,
fences?
before you buy it, because remember Christian got into that and he can't put up his fence, and remember over here? So before you approve,
Well, I mean,
You need the code.
So this site plan doesn't meet the fencing requirement?
Well, it doesn't say what kind of fence is
It
put up
does.
there, does it?
No, it doesn't say what kind of fence he's putting up.
So, when they sent this, well, you got the email, they feel it met all of the requirements that you had put in.
I mean, well, you asked, did
Yep.
it meet the requirements?
Right,
And I just
absolutely.
wanted to make sure we're all on the same page. Because if Matt's gonna have to put something else on here before we meet again, he needs to know that, right?
All right, fencing requirement 72.
Which would be the type of fence and everything else. What about a lighting plan? Is there a lighting plan? Are you gonna be just open, is your business plan to be open just during daylight, or is it, after hours also?
At this point, we don't even know if we're gonna be able to open.
Yes.
At this point, we don't even know if we're gonna be able to open.
But
so
assuming you are,
It's gonna be Saturday during the day and Sunday.
okay? So,
Daylight opera.
is there a lighting requirement on commercial property for a business? I'm asking the group.
We're working on lighting, but we haven't done it yet. That's one of the things
Not
county's
passed
working
yet.
on.
But doesn't the lighting plan have to be on commercial property? Doesn't it have to be submitted with the site plan?
I'd have to ask Darrell that. I don't know that. I can call him and ask him.
That's something, we need to find out where building permits start and our planning commission stops. Do we look at utility lines and fences and lighting, or is that a requirement for building permits? And we don't need to be totally 360 degrees about everything.
Well, we spent 2 meetings talking about lighting at the
Right.
plaza up here, so I'm just curious. Signage, as far as any, do you have plans for signs on the property, the lit signs? Okay.
Within residential and commercial districts, no barbed wire, razor wire, chicken wire, or similar such fencing material shall be visible from the public right of way. No electric fencing and hot wire. And no fence shall be constructed using discarded materials that are in disrepair or others such as pallets, tree trunks, trash, junk, railroad ties, wooden doors, utility poles, or other materials not specifically manufactured for fencing. They don't need a security fence, they don't need a screening fence, and they don't need a pool fence.
They don't need a security fence.
Shouldn't.
No.
Okay. I know we've been going through all the ordinances and stuff, and then there's quite extensive noise ordinance and all that kind of stuff. And that goes back to the good neighbor deal. It's just gonna be in daytime, you say?
That's the current
Is
plan.
is there a restriction on, like if you're, from a noise standpoint, if you're gonna be generating noises of any type of distance, that you have to be away from the closest? The reason I'm asking is because we've had a request in front of us for these commercial lots to be apartments. I'm not saying it's gonna happen, but we've had that request, which means there's gonna be people there within 369 feet of animal packs and kids screaming and so forth. I'm just asking.
Yes, there is an ordinance. You and I went over it when there was an issue with the local bar and live music with your establishment. It is
I don't know if it was a distance.
It is not a distance. It
DBA, is a DBA.
It's a decibel reading at the boundary line.
Okay. But that's not something we would deal with anyway. I was just
No.
curious if there was, I'm looking at the distance part of it.
Yeah, there's nothing relevant.
Okay. What about the pen waste disposal? Is that, you gonna do a compost on site, or?
So I think you have a
I grew up on a farm, so
We don't keep them in there. Like, so each one of those paddocks will be divided in half and they'll be there for 3 days and they'll move. And so there's an entire month before they come back. Just like we do with our cattle, they're constantly moving. There's no waste to dispose of
That's
because,
the new.
Okay.
That's the
It's
new
manure.
so they're not gonna be in the pen the whole time there,
No.
and where you gotta clean out the pens like.
no,
you do
we don't
in the
house
state.
any of our
Okay.
animals that way.
Okay.
Unless an animal gets sick and then we take it to one of the barns that's behind the liquor store. take
Nate,
care of it.
Nate and I wanted to compost if that was gonna be the case.
But it's rotational, you're just moving.
Well,
the
since it's
color.
organic, it's worth,
Yeah, that's the
it's worth
organic
its weight in
farming.
gold, so.
These days.
A lot of that around.
This common area in the front, that is between the fenced-in area and the commercial property in the front,
Yes?
what's, since that's not part of what we're talking about, I assume there's landscaping or something, or common,
It can be grass,
It can grow grass in the trees, yeah.
so it's just gonna stay natural?
yes,
Yeah,
Okay.
it says that in the notes.
this says so right here. It says current natural state.
Okay, so there won't be any structures outside of this fence, there won't be any temporary or permanent structures in this common area between, in this 369 feet across there?
Related to agritourism?
Sir?
Related to agritourism? No.
Okay. Okay. And the last question I have is if I see this, when I'm looking now, where's the road? I see here.
Right over there.
Okay.
No,
Yeah, that's right.
it's right there.
Okay, here's the name here.
Okay, so the road, you're coming in here, and is the road,
See, I don't
can you-
think so.
No, I
don't
thought the
understand
road was
that.
coming in.
Matt, could you come up and explain the road?
Yeah, because that was the question I had, and I don't believe it's here.
You're
I
right.
believe it's over here, where this 14-foot gravel road comes in. Is that correct?
Yeah, this is where the entry will be.
See right here, the road?
These two lines right here is the road, gravel drive. We can't come up this one because it's too steep,
Right.
and we would hit the
So
utilities.
this is your
This is where-
commercial entry right here.
This will be,
Yes.
working on our permit with the state,
Right.
TDOT.
Great,
And we'll
perfect.
come in, cut across.
Okay, is this line the setback line? What is this, what are these lines?
That's, this blue line
Those
is
are
setback.
setback.
That's a setback. So your road will not be inside the setback, your road will be outside the setback. Your road won't be
Well,
inside.
this is a building setback.
Yeah, you can put the
You
road
can
in
put the road
setback.
there.
Okay,
That's a building setback.
okay, but I was just curious on here, I didn't see where the road was going.
Well, I want to preserve as much pasture for the cows. We turn grass into money.
See, there's the grass right
That's what I have to do.
there, and that's right up
Grass
there.
into money, right on.
Well, good point. So if you're gonna have cows in here, and obviously you're gonna be coming in here, so this will be gated, I assume, to keep the cows out of here.
There's gonna be more fencing. We just showed you stuff related to agriculture. There's more fencing on our property.
You've got an existing fence there now.
No, but look, so, the way we do it is like, our cows will be along this fence for one day, right here 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 for one day. When they're crossing this, we won't be open.
Okay,
And then the cattle will be on the other side of the fence, and that's an insurance
okay.
issue.
And that's the organic farming because of the way.
Rotational, yeah.
Rotational grazing.
Mhm.
But,
And
but,
so-
but is this blue line your fence now, or you
No,
don't,
this
or you don't
line-
have it drawn in?
This line, these X's are the fence.
Okay. So your fences are right up next to the back of the property, property line?
Where the existing fence is, where we bought, yes.
Okay. I got you. So you come in here,
No,
here,
Mhm.
and then, so you hadn't drawn in the road, you're gonna be under somewhere in
It's
here.
drawn in.
There's a thin line right
It's
here.
drawn in.
Okay, I'm colorblind, so I can't see it.
okay. We're not gonna let you do that.
You want me to draw on there for you?
Right, that's good, I see it now, but I can't see color, so I gotta stick to it.
So it's right here, it comes along like this, it goes over like
Matt,
this.
can I ask, what kind of animals are going to be in this area?
Is this the only curb cut too?
He's got an app into the state.
Working with T-Dot.
This one?
Yeah. I'm sure they'll get it.
Yeah.
So are
This
these,
is where, if you go past the property right now, there's what, when they went up there, when they had the electric poles, right here was.
Tim, do you have any questions while we're doing this?
No. My only thing is, I don't think, keep going back, I don't think the planners did a lot of people service, and it started years ago. Now, everything, they're changing things, they go back, well, state law is gonna trump everything. If that's the case, they've changed the 503 a couple of times since then with ordinances. Even with this one, they said agricultural is allowed, and we have no problem with Matt and his cows or anything else, we have no problem with that. We have a problem with something that he's doing, and I said, I can see a topo, I can probably figure out why he's doing it. Well, the topo, the elevation's right in there, but I can see the topo map, I can read one well enough that I see
This
that.
has topo on it.
You want it? What elevation is the pole barn?
I don't know if it's got the numbers.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So, but I can read topo map well enough to see grades and stuff, so I see that you picked the better, the most level spot, right?
And it's shady, that's why.
Yeah, and like I said, had this information been provided versus Garrett saying the site plan meets the monument ordinance, well, it didn't. So, and then he wouldn't get back to us on information, so that's what kind of, it's the unknown people will rise up versus just say, this is
But
this.
it's pretty plain.
Mac, can you call these guys? And it would have solved a lot of things probably for the 2 weeks, because a lot of stuff could have been worked out.
A phone call to me could have also worked out.
I only found out about it at that meeting. I was watching on TV. There's no notification.
Well,
We do want to have, we all want to be good neighbors, and I think we've learned from this process. I think we all have grown from this process. So, it's definitely, good Lord works in mysterious ways. So, thank you.
Well, I got a question.
All right.
Now, I remember coming to the meeting, the city meeting in 2019 when they changed it to agricultural or whatever it was commercial, when you were going to have the meat market and sell beef and all that.
I remember that too.
Okay?
Yeah.
We're there. Okay, I remember you coming in to the planning commission and apologizing for the pole barn that, accidentally got sheetrock and a bathroom put in.
That was this.
That was this
Yeah.
time, that wasn't.
I know, but you came in, you apologized for that. We said kudos to you for doing that. And then you said, you told us what you wanted to do here, but you had nothing on paper. You just said, I want to do this, this, and this. And I remember this planning commission saying, that's great, bring us paperwork, let's get started.
So what happened is I called Earl the next day, and Earl said he doesn't need anything from me yet, because he needs information for the city planner. I called Garrett that same day. Garrett said he would get back to me, and this was in
This was months ago.
like December.
Yeah, months.
And then Christmas happened. No, it was November, because then December happened. I didn't come to the December meeting because of the holidays and I was coaching wrestling. And then I came to the January one and I hadn't heard from Garrett or Earl about what they would want from me.
Okay.
And I just came and sat in the back.
Yeah.
And then you guys asked me a question, and
What
I
was
wasn't
getting
prepared to
at,
speak.
though, was, this is actually, when we got this paper the other day, was the first time that we've actually got paperwork on what you wanted to do, right? Am I correct?
No. I sent a site plan to the last meeting.
Last meeting, there was a
The
presentation.
last meeting,
But it
when
didn't
you
have enough
wrote this
information.
little piece of paper up here, was the first time that we had gotten any paperwork on your
Site
site plan, right?
Yeah.
So this is
The meeting before was the first time that anybody asked for a site plan.
Okay, but it's not like this has been before this planning commission for months and months, and we just keep putting you off. Am I right?
Well, for 2 months, I didn't hear from anybody after coming to what you guys needed from me paperwork-wise.
Well, now, if I remember correctly, it was just you coming in saying, I want a petting zoo, I want to do this, and I want to do that, but we had absolutely nothing on paper.
On paper,
Just
and I,
correct me if I'm wrong, am I right or wrong?
can I speak?
Yeah.
You're asking me a question, can I speak? I came in and
Oh,
apologized.
yeah.
You guys told me to contact Earl and Garrett. I got cards from both of them that night. I called them the next day, asking what they needed. Earl said he needed to hear from the city planner before he could do anything. Garrett said he would look into it. 2 months went by, and no one told me what paperwork. I showed up at the meeting just to listen and ask and say, hey, I hadn't heard anything yet, what do you guys need from me? And then Earl kind of berated me for not having a site plan yet. And at that point, no one had asked for a site plan. And look, I'm not a developer, I'm a farmer. Like, I'd much rather spend my time with my animals than spend time with people. I enjoy them a lot more. And so, like, putting myself out here, I'm an introvert. Coming up here and speaking to you guys, I don't like this. This is painful to me. And
So the process has been poor on your part as far as you're concerned. We could have done.
No, I
better.
don't blame
We could have done better.
the lack of communication is the only thing that I have a problem with.
And that's what I think Tim was saying as well, it could have been, definitely have done better, right?
And like, I don't blame you guys for, I don't, like, if I had known this is what you wanted 5 months ago, I would have given it to you.
I need to.
Right.
I don't, like, but I don't know anything about site plans.
Right.
And so I'm relying on other people to tell me what I need, and I'm trying.
Okay.
We just need a better process.
Let's move past our past sins.
Yeah, we're gonna move on and be better.
The 939 feet over here, is that a problem for y'all?
No, we think
No.
fine. And the only thing, I did have some emails back and forth with Anya today, because she was pushing about the agricultural use. And the way the current ordinances read, it's not allowed. I don't have a problem with it, Kate doesn't have a problem, we support Matt, we support the project.
Right.
I think that needs to be cleaned up, because it'll come back to haunt people. If you look at it, he's not allowed to have a business on the thing, this is based on 503, and they try to, my issue with Garrett, when I'm trying to talk to him, he's trying to shoehorn a small agricultural use into this thing when it doesn't fit, versus saying, hey, I mean, if it's a variance or something else, all that can be brought out and discussed. But the whole point was, I ran down here because I'm watching TV and something getting passed, and he would not return a phone call or send me anything, Garrett would. So that's how that came about. And Matt, I apologize, wasn't trying to hold you up, and never had a problem with them, but.
But you don't object, y'all don't object to this business? I mean, I personally don't have a problem with the business myself either.
Right.
I just want to make sure
All our dots.
that everybody, I mean, the Nixon property, there's no representative of Nixon property here, right?
No.
And I have one thing, just based on this, this is the site plan we're gonna go about, we're all gonna say it's good, not an issue, then I would probably like to have that as a restrictive use, this is the only thing to be expanded. That way we're not revisiting this later on, because this would happen if we go back and say, because nothing's in writing really what we're doing. When we have to do a development, PUD, everything else, we have to list exactly what we're doing. We have to give everything out, the streets, the heights of the square footage of the homes, everything. So that's why this is kind of unusual, how we kind of got here.
Well, based on what I'm hearing tonight, this is restricted to 7.5 acres, and nothing's gonna happen outside these 7.5 acres,
I think that's great.
other than cattle.
Right.
All right, and then the greater thing, you know, agritourism. Tim, what do you think about agritourism as a way of dealing with the like a spread or the sprawl that they want to avoid in development? For small gateway communities like ourselves going into the state park, agritourism is something they're
I think it's good,
focusing on.
but you definitely have to have your setbacks.
Right. But do you agree with the premise of that's a way to keep the rural flavor of a gateway community?
I think it helps, yes.
Okay.
So,
All right, because I mean, from a development standpoint, I just want to
yeah, I
see
mean,
where you're coming from.
it's like anything else, they kind of have to kind of mesh, like what Richard was saying too.
Right.
You have to start putting apartments back there, then you don't have the setbacks, you start to have issues.
Right, although if I had small kids and had an apartment overlooking cute little animals, I think that'd be awesome.
You open the back door, let them run out the back door.
Heck, yeah.
I have a question about it.
Yeah.
Don't setbacks typically refer to building setbacks?
10 feet.
Yeah.
Well, see, this is a problem that Garrett told me about, because I didn't know Garrett wasn't talking to you. I didn't know, I know Earl can't do anything till he gets it from Garrett. And if I, you know, of course, I found out there was a building because he thought it was a pole barn when he pulled the permit, correct? And then he found out it was a building. That's the reason he sent you back to Garrett. So if you'll let me know, see, I'm not the chair of the planning commission, but I am the mayor, but if you'd let me know, we would have followed up. Now, I've heard 3 nights in a row, there's an issue with our planning process, so now we've got to fix that. And it starts here, so we'll start working on it. But sometimes communication's both ways, and I did not know Garrett wasn't talking to you.
Well, I understand that, and I'm not, like,
Well, I'm just saying, I apologize he wasn't, but I didn't know he wasn't.
Well, you also have to remember though, we had was it a 2-hour workshop on agriculture and tiny homes, and what was the third thing?
But that was way after you were.
Mother-in-law suite, so, I mean, I don't think they knew how to deal with it.
They don't, and they don't know how to deal with tiny homes because this is on you. But still, when they were not talking to him, nobody was aware of it.
Communication.
And so I do apologize on the behalf of Mount Eagle. And Tim, like I said, till I got that email today, I said, send it to site plan.
Yeah.
All right,
So,
all right.
we get better with
You ready?
process.
Yeah.
All right. All right, let's go, to the site plan. I need all questions? Questions answered? I just wanna make sure we're all, questions?
I have
I
to,
have one concern,
Go for it.
and I hope I'm wrong about this, but we have a state statute that allows this to happen, and we have a local zoning ordinance, 03-19, that says it can.
Right.
All right, we're gonna vote to approve it. Are we gonna be looking for the council to change the wording of that?
you'll have to present it in April,
Okay.
but it needs change, because you said it would.
So, we don't wanna make them come back, and I
No.
don't really wanna hear it again.
So if you, just make sure you present us that we need to make that change in our
Right.
next meeting.
It
So
needs-
and the change is about the business component, or what is? the change?
Well, when you read it, it talks about agricultural business, comma. I think you just need to change the wording, and we'd be comfortable with it. Having said that, I move and make a motion that we accept the site plan for a barn on a farm.
Okay, I need a second.
Discussion.
Yeah, discussion.
What about the fence? We didn't,
There was no requirement on the fence if they don't need a security fence.
so no requirement at all on fence,
Just long, there's the ones that I read.
on commercial property.
I felt that way too, that when we went over it.
Signage, are you good on signage?
Well, signage, you have to have a permit. You can't just put
Building
up signage. Yeah.
Issue, not ours.
Right.
Yeah.
I
All right.
second the motion.
Second the motion. Any further discussion? All right, I'm gonna do a roll call. Ed,
Aye.
Richard,
Aye.
Janet,
Aye.
Peter, Doreen, Marilyn.
Yes.
Iva, yes. Ayes have it. Congratulations. Thank you so much. I need a motion to adjourn.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
All right, second. All in favor?
We're gonna have to-
All right.